It's tea time. It's Monday night, 8 o'clock. It's April 20th, and I'm here with my very funny friend, Joey Kola, and we're going to get into it right away.
Hello.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Great. Excellent. I got a
Good. I'm
little
so
bit of
glad
apple.
to see you. Cheers.
Good to see you, too. I have a little bit of apple schnapps here. I'm
Nice. Chendan. Salute. Oh, listen, usually I talk about my weekend, but you know what? Lately, there's not much to talk about. You know what I'm saying? It's Groundhog Day for everybody. We're waking up doing the same thing. You know, there's only so much laundry I could do, so much cleaning I could do. You know what I mean?
Only so much of that you can do. I know what you're talking about. We did the same thing. My wife and I were in the attic today going through paperwork that we saved from like 1997. Tax returns, checkbooks, everything, as well as all the kids' artwork, everything from their school, you know, and they're in their 20s. So their dolls, every little beanie baby they had. I'm exhausted. And I was in a crawl space that had like, you know, the insulation. So I'm like, my lungs are like I'm breathing in insulation. I was coughing like a madman. I'm pushing myself around like a push-up. So I was planking without even wanting to plank.
Oh, you working those abs?
Yeah. So I worked out like all day today. So I was sweating. I took a shower. I had something to eat. Now here I am with you.
Well, listen, I am so blessed and honored that you're joining me. You know, we actually met back in the early 90s at Jimmy's Comedy Club in Bayside.
Jimmy's Comedy Alley on Bell Boulevard.
Yeah, Jimmy's Comedy Alley. And back then, I was Theresa Manzo when I was doing comedy.
Oh, okay.
And I think I met you and Richie Byrne there. I don't think it was the same night, but I remember meeting you both there. And let's talk. Listen, my show's all about my guests, so let's talk all about Joey Kola. You originally from Brooklyn. You're a Brooklyn boy. Yeah,
my mother from Williamsburg section, North 6th Street. My father was from actually Ridgewood and Queens, and I was born in St. Catherine's Hospital over in Brooklyn. And I only spent a little time there. Until I was like 1 year old, and then my parents moved us out to Bayshore on Long Island. And we were the first like city family to move to Long Island from Brooklyn, from Queens, from the city. So every weekend we were in the city anyway because my family, my relatives didn't want to come out to Long Island because that would be like going to Guam.
Yeah, it's such a schlep.
A big schlep. So we wound up going into the city every weekend. You know, my grandmother's house, both my father and my mother's house, and my grandparents' house, and just hanging out with the city relatives, you know, almost every weekend. So
and now you're my neighbor. You're in Belmore.
I'm in Belmore, yeah. I live in Belmore, in Nassau County. We bought my wife's grandparents' house. Yeah. And we're here 32, going to be 33 years now.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's great. Yeah. So listen, let's get into it. You've been doing stand-up a long time.
40 years. So
I want to know, how the hell did you get into stand-up comedy? And where was your first gig?
Well, my first gig, I was, let's go way back.
Way back.
Yeah, we'll talk about my family parties were all great. My Uncle Ralph used to play guitar. My Uncle Angelo would tell jokes. My mother and father, my aunts and uncles would all sing. And my cousin would pick up a guitar and play. And my uncle would hand us the microphone and say, Joey, sing, or Joey, tell a joke. And not only me, to my cousins and my brother. And so when we were little kids, my biggest influences were my relatives. My mother was singing. My Uncle Ralph singing and playing guitar, and he still does it. God bless him. You know, a lot of people have passed away, my parents and stuff, but I still see my Uncle Ralph, and so I started doing entertaining at the family parties because I realized you got their attention. You got the attention of the adults when you were making them laugh and whatnot. You know. Yeah. So that's where it started. And then through high school, I just hung out with a bunch of funny guys. I was the class clown. The class clown runs across the football field naked. The class comedian is the one who talked them into doing it. See?
Wow.
So I graduated high school, went to college, went to CW Post. First, my friend Tommy Morano and I went up to Brockport State University for 1 semester, and it was too cold, so we came back down. Went to Suffolk Community College. 2 years and graduated from Post. And while I was going to Post, I was also a foreman on a loading dock at an Italian bread factory called Augie's in Central Islip, working making a lot of loads of Italian bread. And then I was going to college, and then I would go to the comedy clubs, doing on audition nights, the East Side Comedy Club, Richard M. Dixon's in Seaford, by Massapequa there, and then I would also go into the city. I'd go to Pips, I'd go to the Improv, and
I did Pips.
Pips
in
as much as
Brooklyn.
I could. Yeah, I mean,
they said if you could do Pips, you could do anywhere.
Anywhere. I told Joe Rogan a story, and he just repeated it on his show. How I was on the stage at Pips, and it was like you were on a stage that was high. You know, the piano to your right, and then below you, below the stage was like a pit. You were like 4 or 5 feet up high, and it was like a pit. And then it was leveled off to where it went chairs and tables, till it leveled off to where it was even with the bar in the back. But the people that were right in front of you were in a pit, and you're looking down on them. Well, these two guys and a girl were sitting at a table, and the guy pulled out a gun and put it on his lap. Yeah, he like a little silver revolver.
Oh, Maron.
Yeah, and as I'm doing my act, I was only doing a short spot that night, 10 or 15 minutes. But as I'm doing my act, he's whispering. He's like looking up at me going, yeah, you're not funny. F you. Yeah, what are you going to do? Meanwhile, he's got the gun right there on his lap like that. Like, yeah, what are you going to do? But he's got the gun. So now only I can see the gun because I'm looking down in his lap. No one behind him can see that he's got a gun. Because he's in a pit.
Yeah.
And they're all above him. And he's in the very front. So I do my 15 minutes. I come off. And I said to Marty Schultz, I go, Marty, there's a guy with a gun. Don't worry about him. That's Vinny. He's here every day. He's here every weekend. He just he threatens the comedians, but he never shoots anybody. I go, he's got a gun. He's got a real gun on his lap. Yeah, he's a wise guy. Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, I told that story to Rogan, and he told Greg Fitzsimmons on his show. So,
oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. I've been through a lot. I've seen a lot, and I've been through a lot. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of clubs. I heard you talking the other night when you did Richie's show. There's so many clubs that we've done back in the day that aren't around anymore, like Grandpa's and Konkama Comedy and
back in the 80s when I was when comedy was thriving, there was 8 full-time clubs on Long Island alone.
Yeah,
Chris Rock opened up for me at a place called Laughs in East Quogue.
Mm-hmm.
I had my own comedy cable show in Bayshore where I actually put a young Adam Sandler up. He did 5 minutes.
Wow.
And, there was so many clubs. I mean, when you think about it, count them off. It was East Side, Chuckles. If you go from Queens, it was Jimmy's. It was Konkama. It was Laughs. It was Governor's, the Brokerage. That's 7 right there.
McGuire's,
McGuire's was there, but not. That was like kind of on the back end. But then Governor's had a sister club in Medford, and that was just there. Then Jersey and Connecticut, all around Boston. Years ago, in the 80s, you didn't have to. To certain cities, you didn't have to leave to make a great living.
It's true.
New York, the tri-state area was one of them, and then Boston, San Francisco, Chicago, all of Florida. More people have gone to the Tonight Show from. Well, I don't know if that's current now, but back in the 80s,
a lot of Long Island comics. You could say a lot of Long Island comics.
More people have gone to the Tonight Show from Long Island than just about any other geographical area. And when you think about it, anybody from Lenny Bruce to Rodney Dangerfield to Seinfeld to Rosie to Eddie Murphy, I mean, the list goes on and on. To Kevin, it just goes on and on. I mean, we're strategically placed just far enough from the city.
I know. It's like 20, 30 minutes from Manhattan. And
yeah.
Definitely.
We're close enough to the city where we can get a grip on it, yet we're further enough from the city where we can have perspective,
Right. Well, you did comedy for a while, and then you went on cruise ships. You did cruise ships from 1990 to 93, right?
Yeah, and then I got on the Jon Stewart show when my son was born. I did some cruise ships for a while, and I had to. But
stop. I want to know, how did you transition from cruise ships to 1993 with Jon Stewart? You warmed up for Jon, right?
Yeah, his original show, not the political show. He had an original show on WOR Channel 9. and it was like a talk show variety show. I won that up. But before that, I was just doing stand up in the clubs, around here and the road. And then Bud Friedman back in the, I think it was 89, had a thing called the comedy convention, had a comedy convention in Vegas at the Riviera. Well, before it was the Riviera Comedy Club, it was the original Improv. So all comics and bookers from all over the country just descended on Vegas and stayed at the Riviera.
Right.
And showcase sets for the comedy clubs, the owners, and we'd do sets. And if people liked you, your manager was there, your agent was there, and they bought you almost like a NACA convention, like when you do colleges,
Right.
So down below, the room below where the Improv was, which became the Riviera Comedy Club, Steve Sharippa, the room below was like a ballroom, and Candy Casino was there. Candy and Don Casino. That was their last name, Casino. And their agency still exists. And they asked me to do a set, and I did a set, and they loved me. So they started booking me on cruise ships.
Yeah.
The thing about cruise ships back then, it was the big red boat where there was only like 4 decks, and there was only 3 boats.
Right.
And, it was like the Oceanic, the Atlantic, and the Majestic. Those are the 3 boats. I mean, very rarely. I might have done a Carnival cruise once or twice, but mainly Norwegian had the big red boat. And if they like you, they keep you on for a month, or 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. So they liked me a lot, and I was doing well on them, and the money was good. But it got too monotonous. It got too crazy. I mean, there was a time when I flew into Port Lacaya, and I had to stay there overnight, and then the next morning I had to fly to Nassau. So they put you on Bahamas Air, So it was like this. It was like, and they ran out of planes, so they put me on a double prop plane, like it would look like the plane in Casablanca at the end of the movie with Humphrey Bogart. It had double props, and it was like a tin plane. And on the plane, and I'm dressed up. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go to Nassau and get right on the boat and go do an afternoon show. So it's the 80s. So I got all 80s. I got a purple double-breasted jacket on with the big shoulder pads.
Yeah.
I got a white shirt with a maxed out Brooklyn tie.
You were rocking it.
I rock it. Oops. Everybody okay over there? Oh, my wife just killed a man. So I got these big these pleated pants on, black patent leather shoes, and I'm on a plane. Because they ran out of planes, they put me on the plane with about 30 Bahamian nationals. The left side of the plane was 10 rows of 3 of just people. The guy sitting next to me had a live chicken on his lap.
Oh, my God.
And then the rest of the plane was all cargo. So I didn't even think they had to balance like the weight off and stuff. It was crazy. The guy's got a chicken on his lap. As soon as we get off the plane, which we had to go down the stairs onto the runway,
Yeah.
I get off, and I hear behind me, and he grabbed the chicken by the neck and just spun it around and killed the chicken right behind me. And he starts taking the feathers off the chicken on the runway of the plane.
No.
So I'm like, where are you? Like, is there enough money on this planet where, God forbid, if something happened, no one would find me now if something happened. So I did the cruise ships for a while, and what happened was I was on for, I think, 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of shows, and the shows are going well, but it becomes too much. I don't care how blue the water is, how many palm trees there are.
Yeah.
People giving me silk shirts and cigars, and I want to be home. I want to be home. My wife and my daughter.
Your son was little back then, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, my son was born in 93, but my daughter was born in 91. So she was like, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I wanted to be home. So what happened was I did about 4 weeks on the cruise ship, and I came home, and we had azalea bushes in front of the house. And I'm out there with the clipping my azalea bushes, and it's a beautiful sunny day. And my wife comes out. She says, "Can you do me a favor and just go to the store and get a couple of things on a list, some eggs and some cheese and some milk or whatever?" So I turned around and I said to her, "What else I had a breakdown. I said, "What else do you want from me?" I was like crying because the next day I only had 1 day to do the landscape, and the next day I had to get on a plane and go to the Comedy Cafe in Milwaukee. I was on a day. So I would have had to go back out for another week. And I had like a breakdown. And she goes, first thing, put the hedge clippers down. That's the first thing. second
away
thing she
from
said,
the bush.
yeah, get away from the bush. And then she said, sit down, relax. We just talked. And she said, from now on, we're going to make our money on land. And then knock on wood, luckily, right after that is when the transition came over to the Jon Stewart show to do warm-up for his show, because his manager at the time, Barry Segunda, is very good friends with my manager at the time, Jeff Sussman.
Right.
And I knew John from the clubs, and John knew I was a high energy guy.
Yep.
To bring a peaceful, fun feeling to a studio audience.
Yeah.
So he tried me out, and he liked me. John, I did it for John for about a year, and then
we're good. Listen, I know we with John, and then you were with Rosie O'Donnell for 6 years.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Well, right after Jon Stewart show, then I did Letterman. I did stand up again. I did the road, and I was doing Letterman. And as I was leaving the Ed Sullivan Theater, my manager's phone rang, and it was Daniel Kellison and Rosie. And I said, hey, Rosie, how you doing? Good show. They said, well, the show was 3 days old. They started June 10th of 96.
Wow.
And they hired me June 13th because they tried some other warm-up people, and it didn't work.
Right.
I said, Rosie, what kind of a show are you going to have? Is it going to be like Sally Jesse Raphael, people throwing chairs at each other and yelling? She says, no, I want a very Mike Douglas and Merv Griffin. But I want you to bring a fun flair to it. I want it to be fun.
Yeah.
We have a band. I said, I'm in. And from that day on, June 13th or 14th in 96 till 2002, I warmed up the Rosie O'Donnell show after that.
Yeah. Well, listen, Joey, don't go away. We're going to take a quick break. We have to hear from my sponsors. We'll be right back with more Joey Kola. Stay there, people. Don't go away.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Tavolo Kitchen and Pizza, located at 1919 Wantaw Avenue in Wantaw. Hey, there's something for every night of the week. Tuesdays, pasta night. Wine Wednesdays. Friday, live music from 7 to 10. Sunday, brunch. So check them out at 516-308-4892 or www.tavolokitchen.com. They're also on Instagram. They do catering and private parties. So where do you want to go tonight?
Are you bored?
Oh my God!
Hold on tight. We're gonna coast us.
On the bottom of the screen.
You're on.
I'm on. Okay.
Hey,
We're back. We're back with Tea Time. I'm with Joey Kola. And Joey is a fabulous entertainer, comedian for over 40 years. And we were just saying how you became the warm-up comic for everybody and their mother. After Jon Stewart, you went to Rosie. You were with Rosie for 6 years.
Right.
Then you were with Martha Stewart for 7.
7
and
years.
Now you've been with Rachel Ray for what, 9?
8 years. I'm going into my 9th season with Rachel, and I can't be happier. I mean, she is just an amazing human being. The work ethic is second to none. I've never seen anybody work as hard as her and not take it for granted. She thanks God for every job she has, every day that she gets to work. She is an amazing human being who is amazingly generous also. And Rosie was the same way. I mean, I'll tell you a story that I usually tell. So I've told it a couple times with Rosie. One morning, when you do warm up, you got to get up early. I get up at 5:30. I'm in the city by 7:30.
Yeah, people think it's not like almost like a full-time job. They think you show up, you do some jokes, and go home. That's not the case. Yeah,
a lot of comedians they say, "Oh, give me a warm-up job because I get a pension and I get benefits and you get paid well." And they're like, "Oh, give me a warm-up job." And I'm like, "Okay, well, you got to get up at 5:30 in the morning, 3-4 days a week, and then do stand-up on the weekends." And then most of them are like, "Why do I have to do that? I don't want to do that. I became a comedian so I can wake up at the crack of 2 every day." I said, "Well, it's a job. It's a regular job."
How many shows do they film a day?
We do an average. We do most times 3 a day.
Wow.
3 a day, yeah, 3 a day. So we do 3 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, and 3 on Thursday. But Sometimes we do 9 in a week, which is
It's a
more than
lot.
anybody's ever done or anybody is doing.
Yeah.
So, and we deliver between 160 and 170 shows a year with
It's a
Rachel.
lot.
And then I also warm up Kevin James's show, and that's a sitcom which you've been to, and that's a 4-hour thing with a DJ, and it's a whole nother animal. But with Rachel, I'm going back to the Rosie story. Rosie, I get there early in the morning, and we're on the 8th floor at 30 Rock, right down from Saturday Night Live. We shot at 8G, they shot at 8H. And I see Rosie at like 7:30 in the morning, and she's a little disheveled. So I said, "Hey, big shot, out last night hanging with your Broadway friends at Joe Allen's?" And she said, "No, I was out with my, no," she said, "I couldn't sleep last night, so I went to Sloan and wrote checks." She went to Sloan Kettering with her checkbook.
Yeah.
And wrote checks. She went into the waiting rooms where families were losing loved ones. And she wrote, and it wasn't $5. It was $10,000, $20,000.
No, she's a very, very, very generous person.
And I learned a lot about being generous from her. I mean, I'm involved in about 30 different charities.
Yeah. I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
You Breathe Believe, and Comedy Cures, The Guardian Brain with Mary Pilata. I mean, you know a lot of the people I'm involved with. Sammy Ruggieri. I mean, you know a lot of them. And they really put a lot of time in. And I mean, I do stand-up comedy. They get them in the room. I make them laugh for a little while. They're doing the legwork.
Right.
I even raised money for my friend Eric Powers, Your Connection to Nature, and the Seed program, where we raise money to get quails to fight the tick population on Long Island. Also. Yeah.
You're involved in a lot of different things, but I also want to mention you've performed. You told me when I saw you at the Crew that day that you've always opened up for Kevin James's show, from King of Queens, right?
No, that was in L.A.
Oh, that was in L.A.
King of Queens, I did a walk-on role on the show.
Yes, you were on King of Queens.
Yeah, it was called Driving Rain. I had a small part. I was out in L.A., and we both shared the same manager, Jeff Sussman, who also manages Joe Rogan. And I happened to be out there do you remember when flip phones just came out?
Yes.
And you could get a message, like your outgoing message could be a celebrity.
Right.
Well, I was one of the celebrities, and I was out there shooting it, not shooting it, but doing the voiceovers for those messages.
Right.
Like I did one that was like, better get that. Hey, it's Joey Kola. Answer your phone. Like stuff like that. And it was kind of surreal, too, because I was in a room, in the waiting room was me, William Shatner, John Ratzenberger, who was from Cheers, and Sammy Hagar, all in the same waiting room to go do voiceovers.
Yeah.
So we did the voiceovers, and I happened to be in L.A., and I saw Kevin. I went to the set and everything. So Kevin, liked to put his friends in the show as much as he can. So he said, "Get him a uniform. I want him to be in the show." So he gave me a couple of lines in the beginning, and I was it was Driving Rain. It's the one where he goes against his cousin, who is Gary Valentine, who's his brother.
Yeah.
And they had like an obstacle course and this and that. And I had the clipboard at the obstacle course, and it was just small thing. I still get residual checks for 23.37 cents every once in a while. So I did that. I was out there with Kevin, and I just did a walk-on role on King of Queens. Then when he came here to do Kevin Can Wait, I warmed up the show and played Larry Anderson, the corn-eating.
Yes, it was great.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Thanks.
It was so
and now I'm working on The Crew. It's a show called The Crew. It's about a NASCAR pit crew, and we're doing 10 episodes. Well, we did 7 already. We're trying to do the other ones, and it's going to be on Netflix in the fall.
Yeah, and it's very funny. I was there, and it was very funny.
Yeah,
it was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked the premise. I liked the cast is amazing. I think they have such great chemistry.
Yeah, they're very funny, and Kevin's great in it also.
And what's nice is, and I got to see, look, I've seen you on stage, but to actually see you, in that capacity is totally different, because as soon as you are on, that's as fast as you have to shut off when they're yelling, know.
Yeah, it's like,
okay,
at Rachel, it's different. At Rachel, it's like we know when she says, I'm going to put the sauce on the burger and the cheese on a thing, and we'll do that, and we come right back. We go to commercial, and then it's all me for a little while.
Right.
And we prep the meal, and and then we're coming back in 5, 4, 3. There's like a little bit, but when the director and all the producers and the writers are doing a sitcom, they'll do it one way, and then they'll go. You'll hear a bell, and the director. Will
Yeah, you hear it. Yeah.
And then when the director yells action or cut, no matter what I'm doing, I have to stop and pick up.
That's it, because you got nothing to do.
What's that?
You know.
You froze up on me. What'd you say?
You have to stop the joke.
Yeah, I got to stop the joke.
Mid-joke.
And a lot of times, as a comedian, I mean, once that's stopped, that's gone. Like, I got to let that go. I mean, there's sometimes not a way to even get back to that premise. So I got to have a big wealth of material. And that's why I got Sean with me, too, my DJ. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, Sean's great.
He's so great. I met that kid. He's 20, I think he's 26 years old. I met him. We did a Tunnel to Towers benefit in Staten Island. Just him and I. He played the music and I did stand-up. And we just hit it off. And I said, man, if anything ever comes along where I could use him, let me call him. I did that. And we've done 3 sitcoms so far together.
You are like a fairy godfather to a few people that you've helped out there, including our good friend Richie Byrne, because Richie's like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Joey. And you're like, I don't know about that. I didn't have sex with your mother ever. You know what I mean? But Richie's the warm-up comic for Dr. Oz, and he cannot speak more highly about you.
Well,
and neither could I. But listen, Joey Kola is going to stay right there because we have more. We're going to hear from my sponsors again. Come right back. We have so much more to talk about. Don't go away, people.
Today's show is brought to you in part by Tavolo Kitchen and Pizza, located at 1919 Wantagh Avenue in Wantagh. Hey, there's something for every night of the week. Tuesdays, pasta night. Wine Wednesdays. Friday, live music from 7 to 10. Sunday, brunch. So check them out at 516-308-4892 or www.tavolokitchen.com. They're also on Instagram. They do catering and private parties. So where do you want to go tonight?
Why don't we go to Coasters?
Oh, cool. I heard it's a great place. Let's check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Oh my God.
Hi, everybody. It's tea time. It's Monday night, and I'm here every Monday night. And this week, I'm with my good friend Joey Kola, who's been doing stand-up for over 40 years. This man is amazing. He's just amazing. I got to talk about him some more. Listen, I'll toot his horn for him.
Thank you.
He's performed on the Tonight Show, with Jay Leno, the Late Show with Letterman. He was on King of Queens, the warm-up comic for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, live Survivor finale, The Apprentice shows. This man's performed in Canada and England and all over the U.S.
Well, America's Got Talent also in Radio City.
There you go. I was Radio City.
I got to update my bio.
letting me know. Listen. You got some major creds going on, but I want to ask you some questions. I want to ask you, who was your idol in comedy growing up?
When people ask me this question, my first answer is 3 Richies and a Dom. I say Richard Pryor, Richie Minervini, and Richard Jenny, in that order. No, actually not in that order. Richie Minervini would be the first one.
East Side.
East Side Comedy Club. He's my comedy godfather. I would not be a comedian without Richard Minervini. He's just still one of my best friends. And Dom Herrera, of course, Dom Herrera. Then I also give credit to, people like Rob Bartlett and Bobby Collins. And I used to open up for Bob Nelson a lot. And all my contemporaries, my friend Steve-O, there's, John Bizarre, a lot of names that aren't household names,
Right,
they're,
right. But they're out there. They're working comics. They're out there.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, though, as a kid, who made you laugh?
Like I said before, my uncles and my parents,
So,
my friends,
like family.
Yeah, my cousin Andrew is very funny.
Yeah.
My cousin, my brother was funny. I mean, I had a great life, a great life. I was blessed to be around a lot of funny people.
Yeah.
I liked it so much that I wanted to not only be a funny person, but I wanted to hang around funny people also.
Yeah. I tell you the truth is, when you surround yourself with positive people and funny people, you laugh every day. It extends your life.
It really does. My wife is funny. She'll tell me what she thinks is funny, what she doesn't think is funny, and then she'll say funny things and make me laugh hard. My kids are very funny.
Well, let's talk about your wife for a minute. She's a saint. She's a saint. I never met her. I'm looking forward to it one day. I'll have you guys over and check out my backyard. But you did something that you don't normally do, and that's really get yourself on Facebook during this thing that we have going on. And you did live from Joey Kola Comedy Club in your living room.
Yeah.
And your wife was actually your sound person.
Yeah. She set everything up. We did a Facebook Live, and she played a laugh track. Yeah. Now, we need a live audience. It's very difficult to do to talk into a machine without anybody being there at all.
Yeah, it's like crickets.
So I said, I got to do this with at least a laugh track. So she'll hit the laugh track, and I set up I got lights, I got big lights that I put in my backyard. I got my
great
system. I got my whole system. So I just converted my living room into a comedy club. And I said, live from Joey Cola's Comedy Club, here we go. And I wanted to.
Well, you actually did two. The first one was short, and the Q&A was really short. And people were like a little disappointed, and they wanted more of you. And then that's when you gave them more. And I think it was great.
It was my first time ever doing anything like that. So I didn't even know how to shut it off, to be honest with you. So I learned more the second time. My daughter got so mad at me. She called the house phone. "You're still on, you idiot. Shut the thing off." And then the second one, she said, "You got to stay on there longer and talk to people." And that's the way you do it. I said, I don't really know how to. This is what I do, Theresa. When I'm off, what I do is I try to beautify my house as much as possible in my yard.
Yes.
I do that by feeding birds. I raise butterflies. I plant them.
I know. I've seen them. They're beautiful.
And then I plant plants. And I watch a lot of animal and nature documentaries, and I try to educate myself more, not only about humans and the human condition, but nature and the planet that we're on. We're only here for a half hour, all of us. This is it.
I know.
And people don't understand that there's going to be this energy, this soul could be in any body, any physical body, but it isn't. When you cut me open, when I'm gone, the soul is not there. This soul is going to move on to something else.
Absolutely.
Now, there's many religions that kind of tell you where you're going to move on to or not. I particularly have gone through them all with a fine-tooth comb, from the Quran to the Torah to the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, everything. And the best that I come up with is I try to adhere to the teachings of Christ. I learn from everyone, and I'm open to everyone. There were many, many prophets, but the only one that was kind of here and then Easter was raised was Christ. That's the only religion that kind of sticks with that there's life after this, that you'll come back in another form in another way.
Yes.
So I try to teach myself those teachings and where it applies to me and my life and the people around me, and how it's going to affect me in the future when I move on past this. Now, we're in a time now where a lot of people are starting to wake up and go, "Oh my God, what if it's my turn?" Yeah. I've always thought like this. Like even before this thing was around, I won't even mention it by name because I hate being in this situation with this. But I've always known that it could be a bus, a bullet, a cancer, something's coming at all of us, and we're only here for a little while. So
I totally agree with you 100%.
So
you don't know. Look, we're all going to die. We're born and we're all going to die. And it's a matter of when he wants us. We have no control. Control.
Well, here's the thing. The Old Testament gave us 10 commandments. And then by the time Christ came, he said, listen, you can't even do those 10. I'm going to knock it down to 2. Just keep me as God, all right? And do unto each other as you do unto yourself. That's all you got to do.
Right.
1,896 years from Moses to Christ. And now it's been 2020 years from Christ to us. So it's about time for, I think, something to happen within our minds and our souls.
Yeah.
To kind of make us look within to help each other. In other words, we got to look within to help each other. And then whatever comes at you, you'll be ready for because you'll move on.
Absolutely.
In 1986, I was leaving. I was working in Atlantic City, and my wife was with me at the time. She was my girlfriend at the time, obviously. And my parents came to see me. And when they left, they were in a terrible car accident, and my mother was killed. And
I'm sorry.
I don't have the time to tell you the whole story, but it's a very, very intense story. I actually had to go on stage after hearing that they were in a very bad car crash. Because the middle accident, that's my time. Let's hear it for Joey Kola. And I went on stage after finding out.
Wow.
The club owner just said, your parents were in a car accident. And the middle said, that's my time. Here's Joey Kola. And I had to go on stage, bring the headliner up, and then drive home. And it was my birthday in 1986. My mother died the next day. She was in a coma. So I thought to myself, oh, my God. I couldn't sleep, so I was telling people to bring me bottles of NyQuil. I don't know if I was going to get on stage. I didn't know where I was going. I was very close to my mother,
Right. Yeah.
But a thought came to my head that there's a straight line. There's a line. See, my glasses are the line, right? And that's life. That's life. That's all of existence is this line. Well, we are just the dot in the middle. Being alive, you could count us. We're a finite amount. And when you snap your finger, 20,000 just came in, 20,000 just went out. 20,000 just came in, 20,000 just went out. But on this side of the line are all the souls that have been here and gone, which is infinite. And on this side of the line are all the souls that haven't been here yet, and that's infinite. Just being alive, we are a very small minority of all the billions and zillions and infinity souls that have either been here and gone or haven't been here yet. You can count me and you can count us.
Right.
For a little while. And then you can't count me no more. Why?
Right.
Because I'm going to be with the majority who've been here and gone.
Right.
And when I analyzed that and really, thought about it, I said to myself, all right, where do I fit in? What can I do while I'm here that makes me happy and my family happy, the people I love?
Right.
How can I make a decent impact to please God, right? To do the right thing, to get on, because it's by his grace that we move on. You could walk 1 million old ladies across the street, give all your money to charity. But unless you really believe in your heart and soul,
right, of what you're doing, you have to believe in the good in what you're doing. You can't just do it to do it and say, oh, I'm a good person. Look what I just did. No, it's got to come from the heart.
Well, it could come from the heart, but you got to remember why you're doing it. You're doing it
absolutely.
Not for yourself. You're doing it for God.
But I feel I've been so blessed in my life because my girlfriend Lisa, and you and I have to sit down and really have a conversation one night. But she said to me, "You're like a cat with 9 lives," and I've come close to dying 5 times in my life, where I was very close to meeting God and my grandmother standing there and waiting for me. And it puts things into perspective for me personally. And it makes you appreciate, like you said, what's most important, your family, your friends. Let me tell you something. My mother has a famous saying, caskets don't have pockets. It's nice to have nice things while you're here, but they don't mean anything unless you have your health and your family and people who make you feel good that you're surrounded with.
Well, that's good, and that's just scratching the surface. That's literally just
Yeah.
the surface. Because what you're
I
saying
know.
is still involved with the human condition and how man
Right.
responds to each other and things
Right.
on this planet. What
Yeah.
I'm talking about is a whole nother existential place of enlightenment that your soul gets elevated to while we're here to prepare for what's next.
After.
And it's by grace that an entity, the universe, whatever you want to call God,
Yeah.
is bestows upon you and says thank you for doing this for me. Remember,
Right.
there was something that Christ said. He was preaching in the temple. I'm going to send this to you on your phone tomorrow.
Okay.
He was preaching in the temple, and he said, when I was sick, you came to me. When I was in prison, you came to me. When I didn't have clothes, you gave me clothes. When I was hungry, you gave me food. So you'll say, when did I do this to you? And he said, when you do that for the least of my brethren, you do it for me. So when you do good, you walk that old lady across the street, you give people food, you show something without wanting anything back and without taking credit for it. When you do that, you're doing it for God.
Right.
And God is watching that, and he'll bestow a great life upon you. I'm living proof.
Yeah.
Because like you, I almost died about 6 times. When Chuckles opened in Mineola, I was in a head-on car crash on the way home.
Wow.
I walked out the front of the car on Spur Drive South in Bayshore. That road behind the mall back there.
Yeah.
There was 2 guys racing. They were doing 85 miles an hour in a 15-mile-an-hour zone. One car spun around and left. The other car hit me head on, drove the engine of the car past me into the trunk. I walked out the front of the car, a bloody mess, and I walked into a house and knocked on the door and said, "Can I use your phone?" And
wow.
I called my father. I lived, which was a miracle. I don't know how.
When was this? What year was this?
1982, the night that Chuckles Comedy Club opened in Mineola.
Wow.
I did a set there the opening night, and it was an auditioning set with a bunch of comedian friends of mine. And then I spent the next 2 months in the hospital. But I had Rocky Mountain spotted fever from a tick when I was 9, and I was 2 days away from dying.
Oh, Maron, you and I have stories.
Yeah. Oh my God, we'll do this many times. I hope, but that's why I'm involved in raising quails to be released, because there's no ground nesting birds anymore, like pheasants and quails and rough grouse. They used to be all over Long Island, New York. These are ground nesting birds in the chicken and turkey family that eat their body weight in ticks. But because those birds aren't around anymore, I mean, you can still see some turkeys because some people release them in their mating out east.
Yeah.
But those are the birds that eat the ticks. Now, not only was there Rocky Mountain spotted fever that I almost died from, but there's also Powassan, Lone Star, Lyme disease. Each tick carries 43 different diseases. And people are worried about, this virus, of course, is deadly and dangerous, but, other things. But a tick, and it's in the arachnid family, it's a spider. So most of them have 2 things that inject you. One, it's like a little spine. One injects an anesthetic that numbs the area. Then this one goes in, not only releases disease, but it sucks the blood out of you.
Yeah.
And then you can get, there's people with Lyme disease that are paralyzed from the neck down.
I know, it's horrible. I actually had a tick on my neck all back here. When I was about 14 or 15, I went to sleepaway camp. And I felt something, and I'm like, what's this? And I'm going I couldn't see it. My girlfriend's going, oh my God, you have a tick on your neck. Yeah. So I went directly to the guy who owned the camp, Mr. Wilcox, and he's like, oh, Theresa, it's a baby. Can't we keep it there? I'm like, no, please take it off. And you have to, how they burn the head off? They burn the head.
That's the thing, because the head lives on. The head could live on.
Yeah, I know. It was scary. But thank God, no repercussions from that. But, it's something that people take for granted who have gotten bit by a tick,
Yeah, I still feel the effects of the tick in my system. I'm 58 and my joints are still not the same.
Yeah.
They were. And then I did get pneumonia after that. And then I was a sickly kid. My parents were told 3 times that I wouldn't walk. That you better invest in wheelchairs.
Wow.
Because when I was born, my legs were backwards, and I had to wear braces till I was 3 to straighten.
Wow.
And then when I was a little kid, I used to like to play baseball and football and everything, and my leg would go out. I'd get like a trick knee, so all the cartilage got torn up quickly. But I couldn't walk a lot of my youth. I was told, I'm going to be in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So we actually
Well, I'm glad you proved them all wrong. Let me tell you.
Hey, they told me I wasn't going to walk, and I'm a stand-up comedian.
I know. Isn't that great? Let's get back to stand-up real quick. I have a couple more questions to ask you. I want to ask you, what kind of advice would you give up-and-coming comics today as far as the industry and how it is these days?
You got to write new jokes every day, and you got to get on stage everywhere you can.
Yeah.
It's not about
Just do it. Just do it.
Just do it. Just write some bits, and then find out where there's an open mic or a comedy club, and hang there. Hang at the comedy club.
Just do it.
Even if you don't get on. Hang at the bar. Meet the bartenders and the waitresses and the owner and all the people. Because those are the people that you ultimately want to spend time with anyway when you are getting paid to be there.
You're right.
Just get on stage. Write new bits. Write. Although I used to do a lot of old bits in my act because people ask for them. I try to get a while. But write, and just get on stage. And if a comedy club tells you, no, I don't want you here, then go to another comedy club. There are 2,000 comedy clubs in the country. I didn't make all my money being on Long Island and New York. I mean, the warm-up thing came along in 93, but I did the road. I did 40 different states and Vegas and Atlantic City and cruise ships and corporate shows. You want to be a stand-up comic, go do it. Dom DeLuise gave me the best advice.
Love him.
My wife and I, for a date, we used to date on Fridays and Saturdays. We used to go to the Westbury Music Fair with no tickets and wait till either intermission or the show was over and go to the backstage door so I could meet comedians. I met for the first time Rodney Dangerfield there, and Don Rickles and Joan Rivers and Tom DeLuise. He actually said, "Come on backstage, kid." So I went backstage at Westbury, and I said, He goes, "What are your questions?" He goes, "Come on," because he kind of knew.
Wow.
How do you become a stand-up comedian, Dom? How? Because he was one of my favorites, and I will never forget how he made my family laugh. When my mother watched Dom DeLuise, she was crying laughing. I really respected him because he made my mom laugh, and he made me laugh too.
Yeah.
How do I become a stand-up comedian? He says, "You want to be a stand-up comedian? Don't work in a florist." That's what he said to me. So I was like, "Well, what does that mean?" He goes, "You'll see." And I thought about it. It meant don't work anywhere else. Just go do it.
Right. You got to do it. Well, listen, you've been doing it for a long time, and I want you to just shout out how can people follow you and watch you and know where you're going to be. I mean, I know right now we're all on hold as far as our shows go, but where can people
I'm going to be I want to be, when we come back, I'm going to do a season 15 with Rachel Ray show. I'm also warming up those Kevin James's shows, but also I'm going to be doing comedy and conversation with the Sopranos, and me and Steve Shariffa and Michael Imperioli. We're still doing some. We had a big European tour we had to cancel, but we're going to rebook those shows. But then there's always joeykola.com. I'll have all my dates right there at my site. Follow me on Facebook, my fan page, The Joey Kola, Twitter, The Joey Kola, Instagram. I'm not hard to come see me. I'm always at All American Hamburgers in Massapequa. If you want to come see me there.
Yeah, let's hang out there.
Yeah, I'll be at Uncle Giuseppe's picking up mozzarella. So.
This is great. Well, listen, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, listening, watching. I want you to share the show. Please share it. And we got about 2 more minutes left. So is it true that Rachel Ray gave you like 33 jars of Nutella?
300.
300.
300. Yeah.
Holy cow! I
got a big bucket of it that I had on my video in the kitchen right now. But she gave me 300 jars.
Wow.
Because she knows how much I liked it. And but here's the thing: I kept about 7, and we gave the rest to a homeless shelter down in Chelsea.
Yeah.
But they can get diabetes too.
That's a lot. That's a lot of Nutella, let me tell you.
I love it. I love it.
All right, listen, we're going to wrap up. Joey, from my heart, thank you so much for doing this, my love. I can't wait to see you in person and give you a big hug. This meant the world to me.
Thank you, pal. Thanks you
All
for
right.
having me on, Theresa. I'll talk to you again soon.
And we'll do this again, hopefully next time in person.
I'm going to send you something tomorrow, too. You'll see. Check your phone.
Okay. I'll be waiting for it. I
Thanks.
love you. Thank you, everyone. Good night, and I'll see you next week. Ciao.